We've got some breaking economic news here. Consumer prices rose 0.1% last month and up 3.1% from a year ago. Here to explain what those numbers mean, the co-anchor of CNBC's Squawk Box, Andrew Ross Sorkin. Andrew, good morning. So what do you read into these numbers?
Not much. I think the truth is this is where people thought things would be. I think there was some expectation that maybe we'd have a slightly lower number. The reason why a slightly lower number would be helpful is because it would take a little bit less pressure, or put more pressure perhaps even, on Jay Powell come 2024 to lower interest rates, which is what everybody would love to see. The Federal Reserve starting a meeting today that will run into tomorrow, and then we'll hear from Jay Powell tomorrow afternoon. So we'll get some thoughts about sort of where interest rates are going. And, of course, that'll impact people's mortgages and credit cards and the like. One thing that's worth knowing, just because I know we're into an election year here, gasoline fell 6%. That's something that people see and they feel. You're seeing food prices. They increased marginally. But then the other piece of this is that shelter, so rent and the like, has gone up by 6.5%. And that's something else that people feel on the other end. So just in terms of thinking about sort of where we really are right now on the inflation story.
It's interesting, Jen, to think about the communication of the message from the White House, which is inflation is ticking down, unemployment's at historic lows, GDP numbers are up, on and on. They can pour all that data out. And yet rent is high. Yeah. Interest rates through the roof make it almost impossible, frankly, to buy a house right now. Yeah. So, and it's not a thing, as you know very well, you can't tell people, no, you're actually doing well if they don't feel like they're doing well.
That's exactly right. I mean, I was the spokesperson for the economy during the financial crisis, so I learned a lot of lessons from that experience. And one of them is data does not move people, even good data in the country. Data is it's a point that's important. It measures the economy, of course, but it does not move people politically. It does not tug at people's heartstrings. It doesn't move them emotionally. And, the White House it's a challenging circumstance because the data is a little bit missed, even though most of it is very good for the White House. But this is a place where they really need to draw the contrast with Trump, because this is not just about data. This is about who you're fighting for. Joe Biden is going to fight for the working man in Scranton, the working woman in Ohio, right? Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump is fighting for himself. It's less about the data and it's more about human beings and kind of who you're representing in the White House. That's the messaging challenge, I think, because every time you get a piece of data, you think it's going to move the marker, and it really doesn't. They've spent a lot of money on economic ads. They haven't moved things yet. They could move things, but the contrast is, I think, really where it should go and needs to go, and it's starting to go there with some of their messaging.
So, Jen, do you think this White House, any White House actually, get the visible aspect of the economy? Most people, they can listen to Andrew. He's very smart and he gives you the straight skinny and everything like that. But he mentioned the word visible in terms of gas prices. People put the gas, they can see the numbers roll. They pay for eggs and bread and milk, and they can see the numbers when they check out. And they can also see the numbers when they pay their credit card bill because of the interest rates. These are the things that impact people.
Yes, it is that, but you can't tell people how they feel, right? You can't tell them your gas is lower. You got to feel better, right? So that's why I think it's more than telling people what the data is doing for them and more conveying to them you're fighting for them and you're working to make their lives better and this other guy is not. It's about a choice. The economy is never perfect. Andrew Ross Sorkin is one of the smartest people out there. He's probably not moving people, that's not his job to, obviously, with the data. He's just purporting the data, right? Telling people what the data is. So this is then incumbent on messengers, not just the president, but also Democrats, right? Out there, senators, members of Congress, to remind people what their agenda is and who their agenda is fighting for. It's about the emotion and less about the numbers.
Andrew, just for the record, you move me with the data. Whether it's the tech-heavy NASDAQ or the Nikkei, whatever it is.
That wasn't meant to be a critique of Andrew. I love hearing his explanation of data.
He's the best.
Totally clear.
He's the best, exactly. Good clarification. All right, another story for you, Andrew. Tell me about